I'm trying to fit all of it into the frame. So you have the Dr. Martens and the Solarwares. This is the 1460, and this is called the Derby Boots 8-eyed, I believe. I don't think it has a specific name, but I've not really worn them, but I've tried them on. So hopefully I can give you a specific perspective of the size. But let's talk about the differences first. So if we just put two of them to the sides and we just take two of the boots to kind of highlight the differences. I don't know if you know the history of Solarwares, but they used to produce Dr. Martens back in the days until they lost the trademark or the rights to keep producing Dr. Martens. So these are essentially the original docs. And there's not really much of it, and therefore there's not really much of a difference, honestly. I mean, they're pretty much identical in terms of designs. I don't know if that's highlighted here. As you can see, it's pretty much identical. There's not really much of a difference from the bottom of the shoe to the top of the shoe. But let's talk about the most recognizable difference, and one of the things that you're probably going to be able to spot quickest. And that is the yellow stitching here. It's pretty obvious and self-explanatory. A lot of people recognize the yellow stitching. It's probably one of the reasons why a lot of people buy Dr. Martens, not necessarily because of the design or even the comfort. It's actually the stitching, because it's one of the most, I think, in terms of streetwear, or at least like street edgy wear, one of the more recognizable trademarks. And they've trademarked this, so that's the reason why Solarwares had to change the stitching here, and they've gone with a gray metallic one, which looks great. It's a nice color, and I think if it wasn't because you know that these types of boots with the yellow stitching existed and it wasn't such a brand, you probably, honestly, I probably would have preferred the silver. That's probably more my take. I wouldn't buy any other boots with silver lacing or the silver yellow lacing or yellow stitching. I definitely would have gone with the silver tone more, or even an all black tone more. But it's up to you what you prefer. But I definitely do understand people wanting the yellow stitching, because obviously it's very famous. And then we have the pull tab, which obviously also one of the trademarks of the Dr. Martens. It's a little bit longer on the Solarwares and thinner, where it's a little bit more thicker and a little bit more wider and shorter. This one says Airwear. This one just says Solarwear. It's just the branding. And it says something on the back. It says with bouncing soles on the Dr. Martens. I don't know if you can see that. And then it says made in England. That's one of the things that I want to highlight here. The price essentially is 220 euros for this one, 220 pounds. And I think this one is about the same, 200 pounds or 200 euros. It's a little bit cheaper, but this whole boot is made in England. It's European craftsmanship, and I think that's just incredible. I actually thought it would be a lot more expensive, because Dr. Martens, they also make this boot in England. Not this specific one, but you can get made in England versions, and they're a lot more expensive. If we look at the sides here, you can see there's a little bit difference in terms of the stitching. This one goes a little bit more up. The Solarwares goes a little bit more up, whereas the Dr. Martens has more lower angle. Sharp angle, as you can see here. So it goes down a little bit more. Other than that, there's not really a huge difference between these boots. Even the stitching here, you can kind of tell. I'm doing a lot of gymnastics here. But as you can see here, even that stitching on the sides, it's kind of the same. I don't think there's any difference there. Even the color of the stitching they've used is the same, and even the angles are the same, I think. We have the eyes here, where the laces go through. It's black on Dr. Martens, and it's silver on the Solarwares, which matches the stitching. I think that's pretty cool. I didn't actually notice that on the photos, but that's actually a pretty cool touch. The laces are the same, essentially, but I think the Solarwares is a little bit thicker. I would say so. It's a little bit thicker. Not by a lot, but just a little bit, I feel like. And I think, at the bottom you have the sole, the gum sole, and It's different a lot. I don't know if you can actually see that. I'll zoom out a bit. Yeah, it's very different. I don't know which one's actually going to be more comfortable in the long run. I suspect it's going to be the SolarWears. It does have more aerodynamic look. Not aerodynamic look, but it just seems to be more comfortable than having like so many different parts. And it seemed like this one is a little bit taller than this part here. I'm not sure if that's a good thing or not, but I don't know anything about it. I'm just commenting just right off of my mind. Like I'm just talking here. It might be more comfortable in the long run. I don't know, but it seems to be the same. Also the same color tone. Yeah, I don't think there's much difference on the soles that Dr. Martens is so famous for. But I think that's pretty much about it. That's essentially the boots. They're so similar in design. There's not really much of a difference here. So let's talk about sizing. I would say that these are both in US 14. So I have fairly big feet, but more wide feet, so I need a lot of room. But the difference in sizing, I would say the SolarWears is bigger, roomier than the Dr. Martens. But when I say that, you have to take it with a grain of salt, because we're not talking a half a size. We're talking like 1/8 or maybe 1/16 of a size. Just a little bit, it felt like when I tried them on, because my right foot is the biggest. So I always try that shoe on first. And I can definitely tell, I wouldn't say definitely, sorry, that's the wrong term to use here, but I could tell that SolarWears was a little bit more roomy, but it could just be the way that I laced it. So maybe it just felt that it was more roomy. But with that said, if you use Dr. Martens US 14, go with the same size in SolarWears. It's almost identical, unless you know for a fact that you might be a little bit too large in the Dr. Martens. I might be able to go half a size down, but no, just keep the same size. I don't think there's any difference in terms of sizing. So if you use like a regular Nike shoe, like the P6000, for instance, I use the US 14 here, so I just chose the same size and it seems to fit. But I also accommodate for the fact that I have wide shoes, so there's a lot more room up here in the front for me, and I need that because of having wide feet. So naturally, if I choose the same size, it's going to be pretty roomy up here. But I wouldn't go half a size down. I know a lot of people say go half a size down, or excuse me, I would say the maximum you should go down is half a size. Never go full size. But honestly, I'll probably just stick to my regular size, because the heel will slip, when you wear them. And I haven't worn these, so you might wonder how I would know that. It's because I have this shoe I've been wearing, and I put in a little insert there, as you can see. And these wear US 14 as well. So if you wear US 14 Dr. Martens 1461 and you know they fit, go with US 14 in this boot and the Dr. Martens, like 100%. In terms of sizing, yeah, they are identical. So if you use this size in US 10, go with US 10 in these as well. And the same thing with SolarWears. These are identical, and they probably use different lasts and different feet models, but essentially they are the same boot. Just the quality will also be a little bit different, because inside there's just one huge sole, like a long length sole, but on this one there's only half a sole, and then it just kind of bevels into the rest of the sole. I'm not sure exactly if that's going to increase comfort or not. It probably will. I might keep these SolarWears just to try them out, and might get these later at some point. I like these shoes a lot. I love the look of it. The yellow stitching, it's up to you to decide if you want. Like, that's more important than anything else. I mean, having a boot made in England, that's so cool. I mean, to be able to say that in 2024 is just incredible, But, everything is about branding. So, not everything, but a lot of things about branding. So if you want that yellow tab, this is probably not going to be for you. The yellow color scheme, that yellow trademark branding, then you probably will be better off with the Docs, which is an incredible shoe as well. It looks so cool. I wore them just for a little bit. I don't experience as much heel slipping in the boots that I did with 1461. I don't know. I experienced a lot of heel slip, and I still experience it, but it's definitely getting a lot better than it used to. So hopefully hopefully they will just mold to my feet at some point, like incredibly. So I never experienced that heel slip, but yeah, you will experience some heel slip. With the boots, I didn't the same way. But again, I would go true to size. The boots design is pretty much identical, and they will be identical for obvious reasons. You know, it's not a secret. You know, Solarwear, they made the Dr. Martens. They produced the Dr. Martens, so they have all the technology to be able to produce that same boot again. And oh yeah, one other important thing to note: the difference here is in the color, or at least more the shininess of the leather. The Solarwear is a lot more shiny than the Dr. Martens. I'm not sure exactly how that's going to impact the quality of the leather going forward. I suspect it's just some sort of plastic coating on top. I'm not sure. So I'm not sure exactly which one will have the best quality. But again, a boot made in England for exactly the same price is something else. But again, I do understand if that branding, you know, if that branding is important to you. Because it is kind of like a way of us communicating today. So I would never fault you for, you know, thinking that's important, because it is. So, but again, it's up to you. I love the Solarwears. I'm probably going to keep them just because I think it's a cool shoe having something made in England. You know, there's definitely some craftsmanship there going on that I want to honor. Maybe, I don't know if that's probably a little bit too holy. You know what? I'm gonna take that back, because I love the Dr. Martens, but I think it's cool with the Solarwears. You know, being the original Dr. Martens and the manufacturing there with MPS and all that. It's cool. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments, and we'll take it from there. Thank you.